some knowledge off his iPad, and I kind of said, well, we could use a third. I mean, it's nice to have somebody here to kind of back us up and kind of, so it's not just me and you going back and forth. There's a third wheel, which is great. And that's how it's all come to be. And now what episode is this now? This is 8?
We are 10.
Or is this 10?
Wow. This is 10.
This is number 10. This is the anniversary.
Yes, this is an anniversary.
It's a big one. So we're now on episode 10, and the stat you said was most podcasts
reach 7,
and then they're done.
Yep.
Okay. I think we can do this for a long time. We are only doing it once every 2 weeks, which makes it a little easier for us.
I suppose technically we need to hit maybe 14.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe.
Get 14. Yeah. It makes it easier for us. I think in the beginning we decided that doing it once a week was just not going to happen.
It's tough.
It's tough. We have me and you have families.
Yeah, I think with the soccer schedule it kind of works out that way because
Yeah.
you never know how the games are going to fall, and if you have it weekly,
Yeah.
you might run into a window where you don't either don't have a game to talk about, or there's only one game to talk about,
Yeah.
or you're talking about the next game that hasn't
Yep.
happened. So I think it's a good format.
Because it's our 10th episode, we are going to stop talking, and Dave's going to edit in clips from our past 9 episodes. We're going to have. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. But again, we're up at Invictus. They have graciously allowed us to be up here. I will say, when Dave talked about Adam Carolla being the podcasting guy who kind of started everything, another big shout-out I gave is to Gleeman and the Geek, Aaron Gleeman and John Bonus. I've been listening to their podcast for years. They do a weekly podcast about Twins baseball. And Aaron Gleeman, I've been looking at he's been writing about baseball since he was a kid, since a teenager. I followed him as he's been kind of coming up, and he's become a great. He's on KFan all the time now, and he's doing stuff. So when Gleeman and the Geeks started, and they started doing podcasts at breweries, I was like, man, I want to do that. And then when I brought up the podcast, I'm like, we should do it out at breweries. And guess what? It flipping works.
Yeah.
I mean, drink beer. We talk about soccer. I mean, this is it's a cool thing to do on a Sunday.
Yeah, and Invictus has gone above and beyond what we've been used to so far.
Yeah, we've gone to Omni, we've gone to Steel Toe, and then we did. What's the other? Did we do?
Well, we just did Beer Garden.
Oh, Beer Garden, which is
Germanian.
unfortunately not around anymore.
Right.
Which again, I'm going to bring up again. That's really I'm sad for that.
Yeah,
whole,
it's a shitty situation.
because I would have loved to go back there and do more podcasts there.
I would love to go back there and just eat.
Yeah, I enjoyed our podcast we did in their little alley, even with the jazz music.
I mean, as tough as a business as podcasting is, I think owning a restaurant, running a restaurant could be even tougher. So
And they had a lot of they got the Pioneer Press ran an article about her. They had a lot of Facebook. They had the Lower Town Loonies.
Yep.
Who were there all the time, and now they're looking for someplace else to go.
Yep.
Have they figured out where they're going now?
Yeah, I think they're going to that pizza place.
Pizza place, yeah. River Bend or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah. So maybe if any loonies are listening, and I know there's a couple, maybe at some point in the future we can have our podcast wherever you guys are going to be now.
Yeah.
Because we really appreciated you guys getting us out to Beer Garden Germania. It was a great place. So maybe we can do it down there at some point. But so let's get off the whole nostalgia thing. It's our 10th anniversary or 10th podcast. Let's go into the
New England game.
Yes. So, my thoughts about New England, the game there. The ref was throwing out yellow cards like he was throwing out candy at a parade. And every time there was a frickin' anything, he was in his pocket and he was reaching for that yellow card.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I get it. You want to keep everybody in control, but there was a lot of calls that they weren't yellows.
Right.
The one I saw was the Darwin and who was the defender, the big guy, where he picked Darwin up.
Oh, yeah.
And then they call dueling yellow. They call yellow on Darwin and a yellow on him.
Yeah, Darwin pushed him.
Darwin pushed him. He then gave him a little bear hug, and it was playful.
Yeah.
Darwin wasn't appreciative of it, but it was playful.
Yeah.
And I'm going, how do you call dueling yellows on that?
Yeah.
That's just stupid,
Yeah, he was... I wanted to try to figure out if I could go back and see how many cards he's given out.
Oh.
And I know there's a place to do that, but I couldn't find anything, and he's
got to be one of the worst.
Yeah, he's got to be high, because everything
yeah.
Even fouls he didn't call cards on,
Yeah.
it looked like he was every single
He
foul.
was reaching. He was going
reaching
in.
just in case.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how he set himself up.
He just looked pissed off.
Yeah.
That ref looked pissed off. I don't know. I mean, we're not going to fine for this. I don't know if he didn't get laid the night before. I don't know if you know what
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I don't know what happened, but he was not happy.
Maybe he had a bad experience at a restaurant downtown or something.
Maybe he did. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't like maybe he doesn't like Minnesota. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was one of my main points of that game was yellow card, yellow card, yellow card, yellow card, and I'm going, just let them flip and play. Call foul.
Yeah.
With yellow cards, what you're doing is you're pretty much booking them, and if you get another booking, then they're suspended.
Right.
So Darwin now has a yellow card,
Yeah.
and if he gets another one, then he's suspended.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I think and we already mentioned this earlier. Pro referees are just very foul happy.
Yeah.
And they need to back it off, and they need to let the play go, because it gets really choppy, and it starts to get kind of, come on, there's another foul, there's another stoppage, and when you start throwing cards into that, I don't like it.
I wasn't. Yeah, when the first couple cards, when those happened, then I kind of saw the ref, and I looked at his face, and I looked at his expression, and I said to myself, I'm like, he's going to throw out more cards because he just looks like he had. Yeah. He went into that game going, I'm going to make it so.
Yeah,
I'm just going to run this game, you know. And I talk about that because in baseball and football, Dave, I think you know this. There have been times at games, baseball and football games, where the umps or the refs take over a game.
Oh, without
and they shouldn't. There are umpires in MLB, and I can't remember what his name is. There's at least one who constantly is taking over games, and he becomes the focal point of a game where he shouldn't have been.
Right.
You know?
I agree. Like, you know, because I know what you're talking about. You know, with baseball, it's the strike zone. You know, number one.
Yep.
And an umpire can take over a game, and I've seen it. You know, both ways. Where if you got an umpire that's not calling the high strike, say, that's fine. But I think what ruins it is when they aren't consistent.
Yeah.
If they're always calling this card, like, let's get back to soccer. If they're always going to call that a foul, if they're always going to call that a foul, that's okay.
Yes.
Because you know that.
You know
but
that.
When it starts getting pick and choose, like, what are you going to call, and you don't know what they're going to call, that's when it's a problem.
And the last game was like that. You didn't know what he was. It seemed like every time there was a foul, he was reaching for the yellow. You know, Joe West is the guy I'm thinking of. Joe West is the umpire for baseball that I hate because he takes over games. And this ref, last game, he pretty much took over that game.
I'd agree, yeah.
You know, and it takes away from the great game that the United played. Yeah. We saw one great goal, and one goal that we were waiting to happen for. Ramirez's goal, we've been waiting to see Ramirez's goal for
a while,
and you could tell when he got that goal, he kind of went to the ground and kind of was like, I think he had a little tear. Because, like, I finally made a goal, and people give me shit all the time, and now I'm happy.
So, on that note, I have to bring it up because SB Nation, they have an account for basically, well, I think it's every team.
Every team, yeah.
Minnesota's is E Pluribus Unum.
Yes.
And so they have a particular editor who has been just railing Ramirez past, I would say, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And him and I seem to be kind of on the same page.
Okay.
And so he had put out this tweet that it ranked the Minnesota forwards. And so it went Rodriguez, Denlati, Toy, and Ramirez.
Really? So Ramirez...
So he was basically saying Ramirez is fourth.
Wow.
And honestly, you know, people were wondering, okay, is this kind of like a hot take, like hot mic type situation, or is it really serious?
Yeah.
And he was just getting berated on Twitter, and the next day he finally he put out an article explaining his situation, explaining what he meant, and so I retweeted him, and I said, it's about time we have this honest conversation about Christian Ramirez and how he no longer fits our system.
And we've had conversations before on this podcast about him not fitting in.
Yeah.
And you've been very anti Christian Ramirez, and I've taken kind of the wait and see approach to it.
I would say I'm anti Christian Ramirez in the sense that I want a forward who scores goals.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah. And for me, since Chelsea has come up already because of our guests.
Because of our guests. Well, our audience.
Yes. For me, he reminds me of Fernando Torres.
Okay.
He came into Chelsea. At that time, it was record signing, and he did nothing.
Okay.
But
he did Spain forward.
Yes. Yeah. And he did a ton of off-the-ball stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really watched him, the amount of work that he put in a game was incredible. I mean, he did runs that opened up other goals all the time, but he would miss these, 5-yard goals, wide open net. It would just off to the side.
Yeah,
and he never really accomplished anything at Chelsea other than having a phenomenal goal against Barcelona in the Champions League in 2012.
Yeah. I love how you brought that up because I'm a fan of the EPL, but I've never been a big Chelsea fan. But when that was going on, I was watching a lot of EPL games, and I couldn't help but root for the guy. I want him to do well.
Right.
That's exactly how I feel for Christian Ramirez. I want him to do well badly, because he's been with the Loons
exactly right. That's
since the NASL days.
Point,
there's nobody on that pitch that I'd like to see score a goal more than
him. Him and Ibarra have been with the Loons before they were in MLS. Yeah. So I think there's like a little bit of a common thing with all the fans. Like you want to see them do well.
Right.
Okay, you want them to do what they did in ASL. You want to do in MLS, and it's not going to happen because it's MLS. The competition is one step higher. Okay, so for me, I want Christian out there because I think he's kind of he has been the face of this team.
Yeah.
Okay. But now we have Darwin, who is becoming the face of this team. Actually, I think he surpassed Ramirez.
I think he has too.
Okay, so now...
But, he has competition with Ibarra because Miggy has done so well this season.
There's nobody...
Because of Quintero.
Yeah. Well, Darwin has helped Ibarra more than he's helped Ramirez, I think.
Good. And I think, good point. I think Ibarra... I don't think there's anybody that works harder than Ibarra.
Okay.
And that was, getting back to what we're talking about, Ramirez, just as a fan looking at the games, the Houston game really disappointed me with Christian Ramirez. Because, I just... Was it the 3 matches in 8 days or what? But he really disappointed me. I just wanted to see so much more.
Everybody was flat-footed in that game, though.
Yeah,
that game
that's
was...
True. Good point.
I'm going to throw that game out because everybody was flat-footed and it was hot. They played 3 games in 7 days or whatever it was. But I think the 3 of us all agree that we want to see Christian succeed.
Of course.
And when he scores a goal, we're excited for him. And we're hoping that it now keeps going.
Right. Okay?
But on the flip side of that, he scores a goal for the first time in how many games has it been? Like 5-6 games?
I think it's only about
4 games, okay. And he's all excited. He's emotional, he's excited. But Darwin makes an incredible... Okay, so he didn't make a chip shot in that game, but he had a run that again, this guy every week makes a play that I don't think is possible, okay? He ran through the box. He had the ball over here. He ran around to the edge of it, kicked it into the corner, the only sliver of goal that you could possibly get it into. And he scores a flipping goal.
Well, and so he actually... If you watch that video, if you watch the replay of that goal, he actually beat Annie Baba twice.
Yes, that's right. Yes, he did.
Because the initial ricochet from Christian's goal or shot.
Yeah.
Bounced off. He comes in.